These are the most important things that you need to know if you're thinking of getting into property development or even renovating your own house and project managing it yourself. And the last thing I tell you might shock you, so watch till the end. So the first thing I must say before even starting the build is the architect. The architect is very important because they might not know exactly what gets passed and what doesn't. So make sure they've got a very good relationship with the planning officers and they've worked in your borough before. That way you can see what sites they've worked on before and if you're happy with the work. And it's also good that they have a relationship with the planning officers so you don't waste your time going back and forward, giving plans and it keeps getting rejected. The next thing is check for infrastructure levies. If you don't know what this is, this means that you can sometimes build up to a certain size and if you go over that size, they charge you money. In some cases, if you keep some of the building up and don't knock the whole thing down, it could even save you a lot of money. Another really important part, if not the most important part of the job, is the groundwork, such as the footings and getting the build out of the ground. The reason why this is so important is because that's what the building goes on. So if you're getting a groundworks team in, make sure you either know them well or know of the jobs they've done. If not, and you're a bit unconfident, then you can even get a surveyor to oversee the works. This is also known as building control. And another really important thing with the groundworks, make sure they're switched on and find the utilities first, such as gas, electrics, and the water. Because the last thing you want is them going through a pipe whilst they're digging up and it will cost you a hell of a lot of money. If you haven't seen the videos on my house build, go and take a look after this. The reason I'm doing this video is because I'm talking from experience and what I went through on this build. So one thing I must say is, you can either get a builder to do the whole job, which most people do and think they're saving money, but when a bricklayer tries to do a roof, it doesn't really work out. So in my opinion, you're better off getting all separate trades, electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, a roofer, because they're all gonna be the best of the best at what they do, as they specialize in just that one thing. But that is just my opinion. If you wanna go and get a building company that will do the whole build, you can, but like I said, I'm just talking from my experience. And by no means am I saying I'm the most experienced person there is, because I am not. I'm still learning a lot, and this is one of my first projects and I'm 26, but I'm just telling you from this experience what I've learned. What I also have learned is some trades will be on site a lot more than other trades, such as an electrician. He needs to be on call basically 24/7 because if a plumber needs him to move something or help make his job move on, then the electrician needs to come in and they need to work together. So an electrician is a very big thing on one of these builds. Another reason why electrician is very important is because he needs to be up to date, such as LEDs, and know about all the new tech and not just old school, even though it is a good way to go. Another thing is he needs to throw ideas out there to help with the build and come up to you and say, why don't you try this? I've done that on another job, because it actually sparks ideas and then you end up working well together. So if you know a good electrician or you have a friend that's used one in the past, I recommend going with them. And on the topic of electricians, I must say with this build, I will never use a spotlight again. Another very important trade is a plumber. He will be here for most of the time as well, and obviously is very important because he'll be plumbing your whole house. And if he's not great, you could have leaks through the ceiling. So again, get someone you either know or know for a friend. The next very important thing you must know about doing a house is the carpenter has to be spot on. The reason I say this is because he will basically be structuring your whole house timber-wise. He'll be doing the floors, the ceilings, the roof. He'll be hanging doors, doing second fix, skirtings, architraves, and even doing finishing touches. So make sure they're not just good in one field, and they're good in every single field. And if your carpenter's good, it makes everyone else's job 10 times easier, such as when the plasterers come in and they have to put a plasterboard on the wall and it's a stud wall. If the stud wall was like this, the plasterboard isn't going to look very good, but if it is dead straight and level, then it's easier for them. Talking of plasterers, we had some amazing plasterers here and the renderers were the same. So the plasterer was doing the rendering as well, which is very hard to find, but if you can get a company that can do both, it's even better. The reason why plastering is very important is because it's not an easy job, and if it is done bad, when it gets to painting and decorating, it looks absolutely dreadful. And rendering as well, if your rendering is done bad or done in a bad way, because there's loads of ways to do it, then it will end up cracking over time, and that's not very good. A lot of you is asking, how did you get your house black? And the render is actually black because they put a dye in it, and the method we went for was a mesh silicone render, I think it's called. Renders out there you'll probably know, but apparently that's the best method, and I can actually see from the outcome that it will never crack. Whilst we're on the trades, I must say, do not give anyone money up front. The reason I say this is because I am talking from experience. Some of the people here, such as the people that have done the media walls, I gave money up front and they just walked off the job because they had no incentive of coming back, because then it was for nothing. So basically, make sure you're in front of them with the payments, so when they're working, they know they're working for something. We had a few people walk off the job, such as the plumber, the tiler as well. So if you want to stop all these people walking off, or even stop the money situations from happening, then you can actually get a quantity surveyor that will deal with all of that. On the topic of money, if you want to save a lot of it, do most yourself. I'm not saying become a plumber overnight or an electrician, leave that to them. But if you can knock down a few walls and do most of the hard graft yourself, like I did, then do it. Because in the long run, if you do most of the labor, it saves you a hell of a lot of money. The next huge thing you must know about doing a house renovation is communication. You have to be able to deal with people, and not just with one person, but with every single person on site, because I've learned they don't really like talking to each other because some trades just want to bite each other's head off. So you need to be the middleman through everyone. For instance, if the plumber said, I need the electrician there tomorrow and the carpenter because we got to work around a certain situation, then you have to be the person to go to the electrician and the carpenter and say, right, I need you there at that time on that day, and they all meet at the same place because they're not going to sort it out themselves. Talking on communication, you need to make sure you are ahead of schedule with everything you're doing. What I mean by this is don't leave things till the last minute. For instance, if you're ordering a kitchen, don't go, oh, in a week we need a kitchen. You need to be at least 2 months in advance, get it sorted, ordered and booked, ready to go, because otherwise you're going to hold up all the trades, and then that's when you see a lot of these projects go over by at least 6 months. We didn't have that problem on this project because we was on it every day, non-stop, making sure things were perfect and not delayed. And no one was waiting around for us. But on that note, I must say that sometimes we had to step in and do things ourselves because people let us down, but that's what you have to sacrifice and be ready for if you're getting into this. When starting your build, you want to do some homework. And what I mean by that is homework on builders merchants. So you want to go to your local builders merchants, for instance, Lords, and say, what can you do on this? And give them a list of stuff you're going to need. And if you're not happy with the price, go somewhere else. For instance, Travis, and they will give you another price. And then you compare prices of all these merchants you've gone to, tell them what you're doing, say you're doing a big build, I'll be one of your loyal customers, and they should give you their best rate. And whatever the best rate is, then go with them. But never go with the first people you see. Always shop around and make sure you're getting the best deal. Just back to the trades really quickly, because I must pinpoint one thing that is very, very important, and it is a roofing company. Not anyone can do a roof. People think they can, but I've seen it loads and loads of times where builders get on a roof and it all goes wrong. And the last thing you need is water coming through the ceilings when you've just decorated your house. If you've watched the videos, then you know we've done the roof ourselves, as we are very capable. Back to being prepared. So another thing I must say, if you want any unique features or pieces in your house, make sure you get on them 3 months in advance, because that's how long it could take. For instance, on this build, the custom 101 chandelier, that took 3 months, and I was so prepared in advance that when I needed it, I could ring them up and say, right, I want it in a week. And they was here like that. Onto the doors and windows. This is very important on a house build because this is when things start progressing massively. We went with a company called YPE Doors and Windows. They were brilliant because we actually got to go to the showroom, check out all their stock, feel the quality of things, and we was very happy in the end and made the order. I suggest doing this if you do really care about quality and not just getting rid of a house. We went with Origin, and they are Black Alley. In my opinion, much, much better than a UPVC. But of course, depends on your taste and how much you're willing to spend. Some more advice, especially when dealing with trades, is if it's too good to be true, it usually is. What I mean by this is, say you get a price for 10 grand and a price for 25 grand for something. The 10 grand is either going to be very dodgy or they're using very bad materials. A great way to see if a company is proper and you can trust them is to see if they are accredited. Right, that's it with trades, and now on to some other things I learned this year. And that is problem solving. You have to be ready to solve a problem every single day, every minute you are awake. So if you're not up for a challenge, I honestly wouldn't even start. If you're gonna get into this, you have to have a vision. I had a vision of exactly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to create, and that's why it came to life and you're proud of something. If you're getting into it and you don't know what you want, don't know how you want it to look, then you're probably not gonna do as well because you're not certain on what you wanna create, and you're just gonna buts and maybes around with it, and that is not good to do. So you need to have a plan and be ready to execute it. But some plans may change. Like on this build, we changed a lot of things around even after the architect done the drawings. So if you don't know, when you put your architect drawings in, you can actually tweak them a little bit. For instance, that big chandelier out there wasn't actually meant to be there. That was meant to be the ceiling height going all the way along. We come up with an idea to increase the gap where the stairs are so you could have a chandelier hanging right down. If you know about your houses, then you might have seen a guy called Guy Phoenix. He changes a lot all the time. But that's when you get the best of the best out of the build, because that means you care. So be ready to be knocking things down and building them again. On to the money side of things and how much you think you're gonna spend. If you think you're gonna spend, for instance, 100 grand or £1 million, then you're wrong. Add 30%. The reason I say this, you might have even seen it on Grand Designs before where they go at the end, so did you stay in budget? And they go, no, I spent 500 grand more. It's correct. So if you go into something with a budget of 100 grand, be ready to spend another 30 on things you're not ready for. Because you can change your mind on a lot of things, such as in the bathrooms. You can get a bathroom for 20 grand or 2 grand. It really depends on what quality you want and how you want it to look. But when you're in a bathroom shop, you'll probably go, if you're with your partner or by yourself, you'll probably go, I like that one a bit more. It's only 500 quid. And you just do it. And in the end, it all adds up. Such as mosaics in a bathroom, they're a lot more expensive than your normal tile. But that's what makes the bathroom amazing. The last two things I'm gonna say are probably the biggest things. So you need to be ready for blood, sweat, and a lot of tears, because it's not gonna go smoothly all the time. And it will be the hardest thing you ever do. You will not have any social life. You will not have friends for a year. Your head will be so focused in what you're doing that you don't have time for it. So you have to be willing to sacrifice everything. And what I said to stay for, the last thing, the most important, is when the tradesmen and the workers down tools at 5 p.m, you're not gonna. You will be up till 11 p.m. at night and up at 4:30 in the morning, stressing, making sure things are done correctly, going over things, worrying, ringing people saying, oh, are you coming tomorrow? Not letting me down. It's gonna be a consistent thought in your head that everything is going correct. So if you think you're gonna go and do a house build and down tools at 5 o'clock like the tradesman, then you've got another thing coming. Because that hard work, staying up till 10:30, 11, getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, that's what will get you through it. So I hope this helped, guys, if you're thinking to do your own house up or get into property development. As I said, I am not the most experienced person in the world. I'm just talking by my experience this year and trying to give you guys an insight of what to expect, because it is not easy. But with sacrifices comes rewards. So if you've got any comments, leave them down below and I'll answer them straight away or even do another video for you. If you haven't watched the house videos, then I've actually got 2 videos out now of the full build start to finish. I'm gonna leave the link to the first part just here, so click that after this video, leave this video a like and subscribe if you are new because it means a lot. Thanks for watching.